Hey, this is Dr. Story. I'm going to do a case study for you today. I had a patient, literally he left 10 minutes ago, and I'm done with patients for tonight. We closed everything down. I'm going to tell you his story, and because it's important to understand why stretching the hamstrings is not always a great idea with sciatica. So this patient comes in, he's a construction guy, and he works really hard with his body, and he was getting pain down his leg only on one side. And the pain was going down into his toes, and it was tingling. Clue number one, that it's a pinched nerve. It's not a tight hamstring. And he tells me that he has pain in his back, his butt, and his hamstring felt really, really tight. It was like cramping. Now, the average person is going to say that. That's what almost everybody says. They say, it feels like it's in the back of my leg. It's like a muscle, is what they say. Clue number two, when they say it feels like a muscle, you have to ask the next question. Well, if it's a tight muscle or a sprained muscle, what did you do to it? Usually the answer is nothing. And that was his case. He says, I don't know what I did. So what ends up happening then is he went to a massage therapist, and he said, well, it hurts in my muscle, so naturally the massage therapist is going to massage it. Then he took a ball, like a little lacrosse ball, and foam rolled on it to try to roll out his hamstring. It felt good when he did it, but it didn't really resolve the problem. We're on clue number three now of why this isn't going to work. Then, of course, he stretches his hamstring, and it does not help. Clue number four. So, in the exam room, I did a number of procedures that I'm going to explain to you how to determine, is your hamstring in need of stretching, or is it actually a pinched nerve that you're feeling? Because in both cases, you're going to feel tightness in the back of your leg. Now, the reason why people say that they feel tightness in the back of the leg and they think it's their hamstring, so they start stretching it, is because that's all the knowledge they have. It's not their fault, but they just know that in the back of the leg is the hamstring. If you don't understand all the anatomy in the back of the leg, then you're just going to assume it's what you know. So he thinks it's his hamstring, so he starts stretching his hamstring. There is a sciatic nerve in the back of your leg. There is another nerve called a posterior femoral cutaneous nerve. That's another nerve that most people don't know about. There's also the adductor magnus, which is a whole other muscle. Why aren't we stretching that one? The reason why is because people don't know about it. So I had him lie down on the table, and I had him try to keep his leg straight, and I lifted his leg, trying to get it up to 90 degrees. Naturally says, oh, that's it. It's in the back of my leg. Now, how do you know if it's your hamstring that's tight or a pinched nerve? Here's the answer in his particular situation. He actually had that tightness that he felt in his hamstring all the way down into his toes, where your hamstring doesn't go down into your toes. So it can't be the hamstring. Also, when I had him raise his leg up, I had him point his toes like a ballerina up to the ceiling. That reduced some of the tension that he felt in the hamstring. Then I had him what's called dorsiflex, which is I had him pull his toe closer to his body, and he felt more stretch in the hamstring without moving the leg. This is another clue that it was not his hamstring that was tight. It was actually his sciatic nerve. Then I had him sit down on the table, and I had him bend his head forward. What this does is it pulls on your spinal cord. Your spinal cord then stretches almost like trying to stretch a rubber band. And what it does, it pulls on the spinal cord as well as the sciatic nerve. When he tilted his head forward, he got pain in the back of his leg without moving his leg at all. Well, tightness of hamstrings don't feel that way. A way to know if you have a tight hamstring is through posture analysis, as well as similar testing where you would raise the leg up, and whether you move your foot or not should not change the hamstring tension at all. By sitting down and flexing your head forward, you should feel no tension in the hamstring. Also, I tested his reflexes. His reflexes were reduced in that leg. Sensory test with the Wharton's pinwheel, I tested that. There were sensory deficits. So I suspect that this patient has a pinched nerve, likely coming from a herniated disc or a bulging disc. We're going to send him for an MRI to confirm this, but I am 99% sure that it is a bulging disc or a herniated disc. We just don't know, or it's sometimes hard to tell, whether it's between L4 and L5 or L5 and S1, but it's a bulging and herniated disc. The MRI is going to confirm that for us. So, stretching seems to aggravate these conditions. If stretching aggravates your hamstring, stop doing it. Stop going on the internet and reading things about stretches where you have to stretch your hamstring. It doesn't help if you have a pinched nerve. Here's the reason why, by the way, and then I'll finish this video. The reason why is because nerves tell muscles exactly what to do. So for example, my bicep, if I want my bicep to contract, my brain on the left side of my body will go down through the spinal cord, come out of my neck on the right side because it crosses over and tells my muscle to contract. That's how muscles contract. If the nerve is irritated in the neck, the muscle will always be tight. It will feel tight. It will be contracting when it really shouldn't. That's why people feel this way. The same thing with the hamstring. So the nerve that controls the hamstring is irritated, pinched upon, something like that. And what ends up happening is then the muscle will be under constant contraction or constant tension, and that's why people feel it's their hamstring. So if you like this video, if you learned something about it, give me a thumbs up.